This week, we discuss the age gap in dating. Why do so many younger men seek out older women? Does age even matter anymore? Should it? And later, a listener who describes herself as attractive, educated, has a great job, and a great sense of humor wonders why she can't find a partner. I'm pretty sure we got this one. Welcome to the talking phase. Hello and welcome. It's Friday, so what does that mean? Another episode of the Talking Phase podcast. Hopefully this time we got it up in the morning time instead of screwing it up again. But for those who are just joining, my name is Tom. I am one of the hosts of the Talking Phase podcast, and I am so pumped for today's show. We have some amazing stuff that we're going to be talking about. If you can take a minute, rate and review the show, either during, after, we just love to have those rating
Whenever.
It helps us grow the family. But before we get started, and as always, I'm here with my amazing, talented, beautiful co-host Pam. Pam, what's going on?
Well, I don't feel very amazing or talented because I re-downloaded a dating app.
Ooh.
And let me tell you, nothing much has changed since I was last on dating apps. Before my relationship, I had been taking a break for about 4 or 5 months. I hadn't been on for probably a year now. And I re-downloaded Bumble and I was like, you know what? Bumble's a nice app. I can match with somebody and then decide later if I want to send a message or not. It gives you a little bit more time to think about it, reread the profile. So, I won't say I was excited about it because nobody's excited about re-downloading a dating app, but I've been swiping. It has been a familiar adventure. I actually have chatted with quite a few people over the last week to 10 days. And one out of the many has floated to the top a little bit. And I have made plans for later tonight, if I'm honest.
Nice.
And so I will go and experience the beauty that is first date stress. I've already done my hair and my makeup, but I am wearing my Taylor Swift t-shirt still. So I will need to change my clothes and I will head out. And the most important thing is that I checked for him and are we dating the same guy? And
Nice.
I can't remember the last time I made plans to meet somebody on a dating app where I couldn't find at least one post about them in that group. So
that's good though,
I
right?
feel like he's either the most boring guy on the entire planet or nobody has anything bad to say about him. Well, I don't know. We'll find out. So that's basically the only thing new in my life. This week has just kind of been the grind. How's it going in Utah?
So by the way, next week, I hope we get a report on this date. Like to hear how it went.
I would love to talk about it. I'm sure it'll be great.
As we've been joking the last couple of episodes, we record these things sometimes a week in advance, sometimes 2 or 3 weeks in advance. So I'm still in Atlanta, but by the time this drops, I'll be in Utah. So we'll say Utah is awesome. I went to the Queen's Right concert, which I haven't gone to yet. And it was awesome. I'm sure it's going to be awesome. But you know what? Here's the thing. I have to tell you as well. Since I was going to Utah, I thought, I better be fun. I'm going to, against my better judgment, I also unpaused Bumble. Yeah. And so the first thing I did is I went in there and I updated the pictures. I mean, it's been years since I've been on Bumble. So I updated the pictures and I made sure the bio was still accurate, made some changes and all that. Then I went and started looking. And what's crazy is I saw the same people that I saw 5 years ago, which is
shocking.
Fine. What's that?
I said shocking.
Oh, I know. That's fine. I'm the same person and I'm still there. So I'm not judging them for still being there. But then I noticed that I was looking at the same photographs. I mean, literally, they have not updated their pictures. And I thought, what in the hell? Because I know I went out with a few of these people and the pictures were 5-10 years old then. So now they're just 5 years older. And so it's like, everybody, update your damn pictures, right? Don't start the relationship off with a fake picture.
Well, they just think they look the same or they don't have more pictures. I think with women, I would feel like there's always like, Jesus, Nikki and I have new pictures every month. When I opened up my dating app, the first thing I did was take all my old pictures down because we've been to the south of France, we've been to Taylor Swift. I've taken some awesome pictures in the last 30 days. So anybody who sees my new profile, even if they've seen me in there, on the dating app a few years ago or 2 years ago, I mean, they kind of know what I've been up to. And I don't know about other people, but I link it to my Instagram and I link it to Mother and Daughter Abroad. And for those who don't know, my daughter and I have a travel Instagram. It's called Mother and Daughter Abroad. And she documents every place that we go in the United States, out of the United States. It's all up there. She follows a lot of trends. She gives tips now on exactly what our itinerary was, where we went, how long we stayed there, what we saw. I mean, a wealth of knowledge on the south of France over on Mother and Daughter Abroad. So I go over and I just grab pictures from that page, but I also link that to my
Sure.
Bumble. So if somebody wants to see my real life, well, my real Instagram life, they
Right.
have like 30 or 40 pictures of the last month and it's constantly updating. So I think that I tend to, if I was a man, most women have Instagram. I would be drawn to people who attach their Instagram because you're getting updated pictures. You're not getting old pictures then.
Unless they attach to my Instagram, because I haven't looked at Instagram in as long as I can remember. So I don't even know what's
Yes.
on my Instagram.
Other than Tom.
Right. Well, and I'm
But
not a woman
I
either.
said
So.
women. I
Yeah.
think men who are listening, I think that women are constantly updating Instagram, or it's just me. I don't know. Even my Facebook posts like over to my Instagram. So
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
feel like you're right. I am also seeing the exact same pictures. So I think it's laziness. I don't think that they're trying to pull one over, although they probably are. But I think it's laziness. I think that they just don't care.
So before we get into this, I got to tell you, and this isn't what we wanted to talk about today, but one of the
No.
things that came up, I was telling Deneen, my sister-in-law, about this. We went to breakfast on Sunday, and I was telling her about these pictures, and she told me that her son met a girl on a dating app, and they chatted for a few days, traded phone numbers, did all that stuff, and decided to go out to dinner. And so he got to the restaurant and she texted him from the parking lot and said, "I can't get out of my car." And he said, what? And so they're texting back and forth and they get on a phone call and she goes, "I'm too embarrassed because I used old pictures and I've gained weight since then. And so I don't look like those pictures."
Shame, shame,
Yeah.
shame.
And so she wouldn't get out. And he's sitting in the restaurant going, "Well, what are we going to do? I'm going to have dinner while you're out in your car?" I mean, what a bizarre. I mean, she made it all the way to the restaurant before
So
she said, "I
stupid.
can't get out of the car." Now, it wasn't because she was so fat. She just refused to get out of the car. That's
I
probably a better way
understand.
to say that. But
I didn't think about it that way. I should have asked, was she stuck? But I
yeah,
didn't think she gained that much weight in the car. I understand she was embarrassed to get out because she had lied, which
yeah,
seems to be a common thread.
yeah. But anyway, so they never met in person. That was the end of their relationship.
Probably best
Air
for
quotes
him.
around relationship.
Probably best for him. It
Yes,
sounds
exactly.
like she has some work to do on herself. So it is kind of a lead in. I mean, we're not specifically talking about dating apps, but I recalled bringing up to you earlier, maybe last week, that I had watched a couple movies lately. It's ironic that the subject matter was the same in these two movies. One of the movies is called Lonely Planet. It's on Netflix if you haven't seen it. And the other one is called The Idea of You. And I'm not sure where that's streaming, but Google will know. And I was wondering if this is a trend where now it has become acceptable for older women and much younger men to be the new normal, just how we've always accepted Leonardo DiCaprio not dating anybody over 25 and we've poked fun at him. Everybody pokes fun at him. But these older men have always been courting younger women and marrying them, all of them, a lot of the time. But now all of a sudden, and in Lonely Planet, the woman is attractive, but not beautiful. And it's a Helmsworth brother. Do you remember which Helmsworth it was?
I
Was
didn't
it?
watch that
Oh,
one.
all right. Well, it's one of the Hemsworth brothers, so he's like smoking hot, and she's average, and I kind of like that. I liked that they weren't making it about the reason that it's okay for the age difference to exist is because she's so freaking hot, which is the case with The Idea of You because it's Anne Hathaway and
Hmm.
she's so smoking hot. And I don't remember the name of the actor, and it doesn't matter, but he is also smoking hot. She's like 43, I think, and he is, I think, 25 in the movie. And I loved the movie for the record. I mean, I just thought it was an adorable rom-com. But I did find myself wondering if I needed to lower the age on my dating app, not because I'm Anne Hathaway or this other woman, but just because, like, if this is the new trend, I can stop looking at people that, uh, whatever. I don't want to say it. Anyway, I can be looking at a different subset of men. And I generally date, my age range on the dating apps is from 50 to 60. So I'll date 7 years younger and 3 years older. And it always shows you people that are even younger or even older. So I think my question is this: where do you stand on dating much older women? Although it's different when you're 56, that would give you a 76-year-old. But did you watch either one of the movies?
I did. You when was that, last week? Whenever we decided to do this topic, you said these are two movies. I think you even texted them to me. So I chose. I didn't watch them both. I didn't have time because, like we were talking about, Brian and I were all over Tennessee last
That's
week.
all right. You get it. You get the topic.
Sure. So I watched, what was the one? What was it called? The Thought
The
of You, or
Idea
The
of
Idea
You.
of You? The Idea of You. And by the way, you had told me that they're both hot. And Anne Hathaway, I now have a total crush on her.
She's
I am
beautiful.
so in love with her. The
Oh,
dude,
wow. In love with her.
yeah,
Well, she's got it going on.
yeah, she is not an ugly
You need
person.
to watch all of the movies, like The Devil Wears Prada,
Oh, I've
all the
seen that
movies
one.
that she's in. I mean, like she's a great actress.
Yeah.
She's in Les Mis. You probably didn't see that.
That no, I've seen that one too. No, this one
Oh,
was the one where the first time I ever went, she's hot. She's always been like the girl next door, but
right.
she was just hot in this one.
She
And
was
you
hot.
were saying that the dude, whatever his name was, Hayes Campbell or whatever his name was in the
Right.
show, um, that he was hot. And so I kept looking at that. And as a guy, I have a hard time looking at other men going, oh yeah, he's attractive. I try.
That's okay.
Um, but the thing about him, and this isn't about this show, we're not going to keep talking about it. It always looked like he was wearing lipstick. I don't know if
Oh, well, he's
they
in a
did
rock
some makeup.
band. Maybe he was wearing
Yeah,
lipstick.
I don't know. It felt weird to me. But in
I just
terms
think
of
he had beautiful pink lips because
should
they
people,
were new. They were only 25 years old.
oh, good point. Yeah, they haven't faded with
Beautiful lips.
age. Um, my thoughts on dating older people. I think people should do whatever the hell they want. And if both of them are into it, great, good for them. Me personally, like you just said, if I dated an older woman, if she's a few years older, I don't really care. I mean, I'm like you. I go 7 years younger, 7 years older. So um, my dating app or whatever, it goes from 49 to 64 or whatever it is, or 63 is on my dating app, and I just move it up every time I have a birthday. Um, and but the idea of dating someone 20 years older than me right now, I'm not going to date a 76-year-old woman. And I
Right.
know that might sound ageist or whatever, but yuck. I'm sorry, that's gross to me. And by the way, I think that a 36-year-old should think it would be gross to date me. So this is not about me being, I just think it would,
Right.
I just personally don't think that more than 7 or 8 years, and I don't want to use the word appropriate because that seems stupid, but for me, it just doesn't feel right. To date someone so much younger than me, or older for that matter. It doesn't feel right if they're older because that grosses me out. It doesn't feel right if they're that much younger because it makes me feel dirty. And
Aw.
they're boring as hell.
Well, there are
Yeah.
probably some intelligent women in their 30s.
Oh,
Um,
I'm sure.
I did have a brief period where I met somebody who was in his late 30s. And I did attempt to date him. Um, but as you said, I get caught up in the romance in these movies, where I can't imagine that Anne Hathaway and that boy had anything to talk about. And I don't even think they probably talked. I mean, I just think that was all chemistry and very little realistic, you know, it was fantasy, but
That
we
first
are
scene in New York,
seeing
wow.
right. And we're seeing so much of it. Like I was talking to you about Sarah Paulson and Holland Taylor. So they're women. So this doesn't extend to just men and women. This is two women. I love them both as actresses. They have a 33-year age gap. Holland Taylor is 33 years older. But when I see them together, for some reason, the age, even though I do think that Holland Taylor looks a lot older, it just feels okay. I don't know whether that's because they're both women. When I was dating somebody 20 years younger than me, we didn't have anything to talk about, but talking was not top of my list either. So, in the rom-com era, it makes a little bit more sense to me. But for some reason, this is what's selling in Hollywood. Whereas before, you only ever saw Leonardo, George Clooney, Brad Pitt, and they're all still dating in real life women in their 20s, but they're also cast of, across from women that are at least 15 to 20 years younger. Now, all of a sudden,
Hmm.
there's this cougar trend that is, it came and went pretty quickly about a decade ago. I liked it better a decade ago because I was in my 40s. But for me, there has to be a limit when it comes to age. But I'm not going to lie, I have thought that maybe I'm being too stringent on these dating apps because, and I'm not also trying to be negative about the dating pool, but I am finding that men my age don't seem to really take care of themselves. And I don't mean all men. I have dated, quite a few men that were in their 50s that did take care of themselves. But when you're just swiping on a dating app again,
Yeah.
I'm just going to say they look much older than the men that I have dated prior on a dating app. And so I've thought about changing my age down to like mid 40s, but then I'm like, how am I going to feel about that as a 57-year-old woman? In 10 years, I'm going to be 67. And if I'm dating somebody 45, he's going to be 55. I don't know. That doesn't seem, when I say it, it doesn't sound that extreme. It doesn't maybe make me feel like I should rule out men that are 10 years younger than me, but 20 years younger did not feel right at all. I mean, it felt great, but it did not feel right.
So years ago, I was actually in a tattoo shop getting a tattoo on my chest. And the tattoo artist was talking to one of the other tattooers, and this guy was talking about this older woman that he'd met. And they met at a drugstore, and turns out she was rich as hell. And so she took him on a cruise. They went traveling all over the place. So here's this poor, I mean, most tattoo artists do not make a ton of money. And this guy, and he was in his 20s. And by the way, he didn't look like the dude in that show. I mean, he wasn't a rock star, a pop star.
Right.
He was a tattoo artist, and he looked like a tattoo artist.
Got it.
And I don't know what this woman looked like, but she was older and wealthy. And he was just loving it. He was just saying, "Oh yeah, this is great." And I'm just like, that
He was spending that money.
yeah, I don't know if I could do it. In fact, I know I couldn't do it.
All right. Well, listen.
Unless she was hot.
Unless she's hot and older than you, but she's
Yeah.
good. No matter what, chronologically, we're going to age, things are going to go wrong. We're going to have to take more pills. We're going to have to go slower. We're not going to be able to go up a hill quite as steep. I mean, there are people in fantastic shape. I think we are both in pretty good shape, but I still think that this is a weird trend that they have gone on. I would tell people to watch those two movies, watch Lonely Planet and The Idea of You, and let us know if you think that you would date somebody 20 years younger than you or 20 years older than you. I mean, I'm interested to see what people say. I'm more interested to get to our next section, but like, I'm really interested.
I wanted, when you're writing us those notes, by the way, why would you? I mean, because is it because you only find older people interesting? Is it because younger people are uninteresting? Is it you're
Love is
looking for
blind.
financial stability? What is it about the older person that you're going after?
Well, maybe watch those movies, because I think if you watch those two movies, you feel the chemistry building between those characters, and you're not watching those movies questioning the age. I mean, in The Idea of You, they're talking about their ages a lot, but in Lonely Planet, I don't think they once, maybe one time she makes a comment about his age. But other than that, they're not drawing attention to it. Of course, we're noticing it, but Hollywood wasn't saying, look at this couple, the age difference is going to get in the way like they were in the
Right.
idea of you. So let us know what you think about big age gaps. And we will move on to our next segment, which is the one I'm really excited about.
You've got mail.
Fast. Why are they going to the next segment so quick? All right, here we go. Pam and Tom. I am a single 40-something-year-old woman. I've been on and off dating apps for 3 years since my divorce, and I've had a few short flings, but nothing real. I think I'm attractive. My friends say so. I am educated with a great job, and I have a great sense of humor. I just don't understand why nobody I like wants to date me any longer. I'm picky, but I date men of all types. I am ready for a life partner or at least a serious boyfriend. I don't like being single at all. My friends are all in relationships. I was dating a man for about 3 months and I thought it was getting serious, but he met someone else and he just ended it. There was no warning at all. I must be doing something wrong. Any help is appreciated. Sincerely, sick of being single.
Oh my, I have so much to
We
say.
want to be.
Oh, by the way.
Take it
So,
away.
okay, first off, your friends tell you you're attractive? Really? What do you want them to do? Tell you you're fucking ugly? I mean, come on.
Aw, harsh.
Secondly, you say you're picky, but you'll date men of all types. That's the definition of not being picky, by the way, just in case you're wondering. Um, the other thing about this, when I read this the first time, and just as you were reading it again, I was struck by the arrogance isn't the right word, but boy, she is not lacking in self-esteem. She's pretty happy with
Yeah.
herself, and that's good.
Maybe
But
she's earned all of those things though.
maybe, but for all that self-esteem, she sure is needy.
Huh? In what way? What do you mean?
She's sick of being single. She wants to get married or have a relationship. I mean, it's basically she doesn't seem like she's incomplete, no matter what
Oh,
she has in terms of degrees or jobs or sense of humor and attraction or attractiveness and all that kind of stuff. But I'm ready for a life partner or at least a serious boyfriend. I don't like being single at all. My friends are all in relationships. So she's basing her own value not on the things that matter, like her job and her education and her sense of humor and all that. She's basing it on whether or not she has a man.
right. Well, I mean, I think there's some desperate. I definitely feel desperation. I was going to say quiet desperation, but it doesn't feel quiet. Um, I'm not going to lie. I have felt what she's feeling on dating apps. I mean, I was on dating apps for a couple of years, on and off of them, in between dating people. I can't say that it was me or it was them, but there was something wrong in the situations. Um, I actually didn't date anybody for 3 months. Um, that then decided that they were going to ghost, but I'm more of a 3-date person. Like if by the third date, I don't think I can see a long-term relationship with that person, then I exit. And I
Mhm.
think that men are very similar to that. I don't think most men are going to go for more than 3 dates, unless they really see something with that person. So, there's a video from Seinfeld where I believe it's George that, or maybe I don't know who it is. They're saying, if I like them, they don't like me. And if they like me, I don't like them. And
Yeah.
I've actually made that TikTok because it's very relatable. And what she's saying is also very relatable. Yes, she thinks very highly of herself. Even if I felt that highly about myself, I would never admit it. And I probably wouldn't write it in an email. But
Right.
kudos to her for having that self confidence. If she's got it all going on, which she says she does, maybe she's intimidating these men. Maybe they can feel the desperation. I don't think any man on a first few dates, especially, probably not even at 3 months, wants to feel like this woman thinks that I am the last hope she has.
Uh-huh.
And I wonder if that's how it's coming across. I mean, there's always hope, whether it's 3 months, 6 months, a year. Relationships start, relationships end. I mean, it is hard when one person has all of their eggs in the basket and the other person doesn't, it is hard to trust. And I imagine it's going to be harder for her if during that 3 months she was like, oh, I got one, that's a Love Island thing, all your eggs in a basket, don't do it. Don't put all your eggs in a basket with anybody unless you've had a talk about where you are in that relationship and you both are in the same place and you want the same things. And even then, there are no guarantees. I don't think she's doing anything wrong other than maybe coming across as desperate.
Well, you used the word intimidating a little bit ago, which I agree with 100%, because there's this lady that she's kind of still a friend of mine. We don't talk that often, but it's the first woman I met when I moved to Panama City Beach 3 years ago. And I was on, I don't know, some dating app down there or whatever, and I meet her on this dating app, and she's attractive. She's, she was funny. We texted. We had great text chemistry, and I know people laugh at that when I say text chemistry, but I think it's
I
a
have
real
felt
thing.
that it's a real thing.
It is a real thing.
It's usually shit when you meet them, but it's a real. I've gotten excited just during the talking phase.
Sure, and we had a great time texting for a day or two, and then we decided to meet. And the night before we met for a drink, she texted me and she goes, I don't remember if I told you, but I'm a smoker. Is that a deal breaker?
She is
And the
not
answer
in
is,
your list.
oh, yeah. Well, and this was before I even had the list, by the way.
Oh,
but yeah, that's a deal breaker. Before I wrote the list, that was already a deal breaker. And I said, yes, it is, but it doesn't mean we can't be friends. So let's still meet up, and it just won't be a date. It'll just be friends meeting.
right.
And she became a very close friend. And we were, the whole time I lived in PCB, we were really tight. But here's the thing. She wore very expensive clothing. She's a beautiful woman. She drives a Corvette, a convertible Corvette. She made a ton of money and made sure I knew all about it, and how important she was at her job and all that kind of stuff, which is awesome. There's nothing wrong with any of it, but I'm a simple guy. I mean, I buy cheap clothes. I drive an old car, not because I can't afford a nice car. I just don't see the value in driving around in a flashy car. And since we were friends, and we remained friends for the year and a half that I was there, we were out one night with a couple of friends, and she said, why don't men want to be with me?
Oh, that's so sad. Did you tell her it's because she smokes?
Well, I know I said, you've already eliminated a big chunk of them because you smoke so much.
Right.
And by the way, she is as close to a chain smoker as anyone I ever hung around.
Oh, it's so gross.
It wasn't just she was a pack or two a day person.
I don't know one person who smokes anymore.
Yeah, I know it's becoming more and more rare. So she has eliminated a good chunk of men right there.
Right.
But for those that are willing to date a smoker, I told her, I said, I think you turn people off because you are so forthright with your qualities, which are good qualities.
Right.
But you load it. I mean, before we even 5 minutes into our first dinner we ever had together, I knew exactly how much money you made. I knew that you drove a car like that. And again, I'm not saying women shouldn't be that way. I'm saying people shouldn't be that way.
Right. Because it definitely goes both ways.
Yeah, I'm sure it does.
I'm going to be honest. I said it goes both ways, but I can't recall a man on a dating app during the talking phase ever bragging to me about anything financial. I mean, they'll say what they do for a living, but I have no idea how much money they make. I mean, I don't think that money has ever, I've been on and off dating apps for 4.5 years. And I don't think that finances has ever come up on either side during the talking phase or on a first date. That's unusual to me that she wanted. I think this woman, Christy, probably just wanted you to know that she didn't need a man for money. She was very proud and like sick of being single. She's very proud. Mm-hmm. Like, look at me. I'm a great catch. I mean, there are plenty of times, and I hope she listens to the episode. I told her when it was going to air. There have been plenty of times where I have felt exactly the way that she feels. Like, am I doing something wrong? Sometimes I wonder if I come on too strong, not because I'm saying, oh, I'm so great, but a lot of times you do want somebody to know that you're not looking for a sugar daddy, because that's the assumption by so many men on dating apps, that women on dating apps are just looking for somebody to pay their bills. So I do very quickly tell people that I'm financially independent, because I don't want to be ruled, I don't want to be ruled out as one of these like money hungry women on the dating apps. It's embarrassing to be on a dating app. I'm not going to lie. Like, even when I unpaused it or re-downloaded it, whatever, my first thought was, I cannot fucking believe that I'm going to swipe, because I have so many other avenues to meeting people. I was just sitting in the massage chair and I was bored and I was like, let me check it out. I think that's what drags us all back there. Maybe one person joined this app, or just got to, somebody threw somebody back that's really great. I mean, hey, that's what happened to Nikki and Adam. He had just ended a relationship. He had just gotten back onto the apps. She was the first. Nikki's my daughter, by the way, if you don't know that from previous episodes. Adam is her boyfriend. But she was the first girl he met after a breakup. And whatever happened with them is none of my business. But at the end of the day, it didn't work out. And now my daughter is head over heels in love with him, and vice versa. They're like perfect for each other. He wasn't perfect for somebody else. And I feel like dating apps are where the most people are congregating. And so there is a sense of humiliation going on a dating app, because I spend months and months talking about how much I dislike them on TikTok, and then I'm re-downloading it. It's not an addiction. I guarantee you that. I fucking hate it. But I there's this one person that I'm going to go meet for a drink, and you know what? Whatever happens, happens. The best part about being on the best part about being on a dating app is that there's the possibility that somebody you're going to meet is going to be somebody you're going to want to get to know or have a relationship with. If you're not on the dating apps at all, there's no possibility that you're going to meet somebody on a dating app. You might meet them another way, you might not, but I'm not going to eliminate an entire source. And a lot of people, because we do a lot of episodes on staying single, a lot of people just want to be single, and I'm perfectly fine being single. But you know what? If there's somebody out there that is going to make my life better, I'm open to that. And so I feel very bad for her. I have beat my head against the same wall. I also let me read her adjectives here. I am somewhat educated. I have a okay job. My sense of humor is dictated by, the situation. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm reasonably attractive. So yeah, I think that I'm a good catch for the right person. And that's what I'm looking for on these dating apps. And that's what she's looking for on these dating apps. It's sad to me. It's also sad.
Yeah. And I know that you're in touch with these people that write these in, and maybe you even know her real name, and I know we've told her that we're going to be talking about her. And
I don't know her real name.
Oh, okay. But
no, if they don't sign it, their real name, I don't ask.
Yeah. And so for me, I feel bad that I'm trashing her so much, but at the same time, sick of being single is how she signed it. So sick of being single. I think you need to take a few minutes or months or years and actually believe the shit that you said about yourself.
Right.
And so that you don't need a man to complete you. And I've said it on this show before, and I've said it on TikToks and everything else. The bottom line is I am happily single, but I would be more happy if I found a partner. So life is better shared, but it doesn't mean that life sucks without it. So, but I just read her email and it's just like, I'm picky, but I date men of all types, meaning I'll date anyone. I'm ready for a life partner, or at least a serious boyfriend. I don't like being single. My friends are all in relationships. It's like, dude, you got to figure your own shit out before that.
But it sounds like she's been going through this for a long time. It sounds like writing this email, she's at her wit's end. She's at a place where she's where I have been quite a few times when it comes to dating apps. It sounds like she's only dating on dating apps. And I have thrown my phone across the room. Like I was just telling you earlier, and I'm going to tell on the podcast, I was talking to two people that I thought were both really interesting. And actually the one that I actually felt like would be a better fit, I felt more of a connection with, I decided, he said, can we take this off the apps? Can I text you? So I gave him my phone number and he immediately texted me. But he texted me like 4 or 5 times in a row when I didn't have my phone on me. And when I picked up my phone, it was just nothing but, you're so beautiful. I can't wait to meet you. I'm going to dance with you in the kitchen. We're going to stay up all night looking at stars. I can't wait to go to Europe with you. Like, these are like little things that he picked up from my profile. And it went on and on and on. And he said, the last thing he texted, because I wasn't near my phone, was, I hope this wasn't too much. And I
Yeah.
replied and I said, well, this is a lot. I said, we've known each other for 15 minutes. Like, you don't know one thing about me. And honestly, it was such a huge turnoff. And I understand that he was trying to like quasi love bomb me before there's any love, but like, women don't like that. Like,
Yeah, I
I don't
feel
know.
dirty.
She might like that. Honestly, if she had gotten those texts, she might be like, yeah, this is going to be a boyfriend. I mean, honestly, I felt like he could have been my boyfriend by the end of the day. So, there are men out there that are in just as big a hurry as she is. She just needs to keep swiping, throw the shit against the wall. Something is bound to stick. But do you have parameters? Do you have, standards for yourself? Like, is it you just want a boyfriend and a serious relationship and anyone will do? Because I'm here to tell you, there are plenty of anyone's out there. Like, there are plenty of people that want to be your boyfriend, especially the way you described yourself. But is part of the problem that like me, your standards maybe are too high. Our very first episode was based on a friend telling me that I was going to be single forever because my standards were too high. And about 3 weeks later, I was in a relationship, and that relationship recently ended. But that doesn't change the fact that I didn't lower my standards, to have a relationship. I went into that relationship thinking this person is what I'm looking for. Is my God, I just totally forgot her name. Is sick of being single. Are her standards so high that the men that do want to be her boyfriend aren't getting a chance?
Well, I think what my point was and remains, and what you just said actually underscored what I was saying. She's desperate. And it's like, they say never go grocery shopping if you're hungry.
That's not true.
So get out of your head for a minute and figure out, just imagine your life alone and learn to be okay with that. And I'm preaching to myself as well, because it took
me.
It took me a long time. I mean, when I moved to Florida, I had just had a really bad breakup. We've talked about it before on the show, the crazy breakup.
Right.
And I moved to Florida and I did not date. Actually, that's funny. I went out with that girl I just talked about, the smoker girl.
Oh, but you didn't really go out.
And then I never dated. I mean, we were going to go on a date, but we didn't. But I never dated anybody for the whole time I was there, or for the first year. I took a year off. And I just thought, that's what I need to do. And it wasn't like I counted the days.
Right.
Oh, yay, it's 365. Let me download the apps again. It wasn't that. It was just, I took the time, and I got to the point where I actually enjoyed the fact that I was alone. I enjoyed not waking up next to someone. I enjoyed going to bed whenever the hell I felt like it, cooking whatever the hell I felt like, going to the beach across the street whenever I felt like it. That was perfect for me. And I think that most people that go through a divorce in this stage of life, it's that, by the way, that's why there's one of my rules on my list, is that whatever caused them to be single, widowed, or divorced, had to have been completed and finalized at least 12 months earlier, so that they've had a chance to process that and not be desperate. Now, that might create desperation, but at least they've had a chance to process it. And I just don't think that sick of being single here has taken the time to realize that being single is not the end of the world. It's okay. So don't be desperate.
She hates it though. She
I know.
hates being single. And I don't know how long she's been single, but like, your 1 year thing makes sense from a completely logical black and white standpoint. But Nikki and Adam wouldn't even be together today if he had followed that rule. And
No,
so
he wasn't married.
Well, but you were in a long-term relationship. I didn't think that was your marriage.
No, for me, it wasn't. No, I
It was a
said
breakup.
on my rules, it's if they are divorced or
Right.
widowed, that needs to have happened at least a year earlier.
Okay. So I didn't know, some people can be dating somebody for 5 years and they're
Mhm.
just as damaged as somebody who was married for a year. So I didn't, the 12-month rule, I think a lot of people really believe in that. A lot of people, when you talked about it on TikTok, agreed with you wholeheartedly. I'm obviously more of a just follow your gut, kind of person. And maybe that doesn't serve me sometimes as far as, somebody who is just rebounding out of a relationship.
Right.
I don't know. I think that, it's being in the right place at the right time. And I don't generally question that. Um, but I agree with you wholeheartedly that she needs to stop dating,
Mhm.
even if it's just for 3 months. I mean, I understand that you're going to hate it because you're going to still be single during that 3 months, but maybe just work on yourself, figure out what makes you happy outside of the relationship. I feel like she's so focused on finding a significant other that she's probably missing out on some really fun, good times. Just spend some times with your girlfriends. If you don't have some girlfriends, join a social group, make some girlfriends. I'm in a social group here in Raleigh called GOAT. It has 10,000 plus people in it. When I'm home on a weekend with nothing to do, I go right to their event page and try to find something to do. And it's not comfortable all the time. Sometimes you walk into a room and you don't know anybody, but the only way to figure out what makes you happy is to do things differently than you're doing them now. And it
Yeah.
sounds to me like all you're doing is swiping. And that 3-month relationship probably really was like a kick in the gut because I want this, I want this, I want this, I'm ready. I need this, I need this. Oh, 1 month, 2 months, I have this. And he disappears. And he liked you enough to date you 3 months. So my best guess, and that's all it can be, is that he sensed the fact that you were ready for a lot and he was on a different chapter. If you're on reading the same book and you're on chapter 27 and he's on chapter 2 at 3 months, he's probably the more rational of the two of you. And that's probably why he exited. He just wasn't where you are. It probably wasn't anything to do with your beauty or your intelligence. It was just too much too fast. So slow down, enjoy
Yeah.
life a little bit.
Get a hobby.
Read a book. I mean, I just started to read A Court of Thorn and Roses, which Nikki read a while ago. There's like 5 books in that series.
Never heard of it.
It's like a Lord of the Rings type book. It's you don't like, oh, it's fantasy. I don't think you do fantasy, do you?
No, I
Yeah,
don't.
it's fantasy. And I don't generally either, but it's pretty engaging. And Tom and I will be here to tell you that like you can binge a show, like find something with 6 or 7 seasons and just spend time with your friends,
Lose
sit down
yourself.
with there you really do wind up getting company from those characters. I know that sounds so stupid and I'm not telling you to get a TV addiction, but there are a million things you can do. Start a journal. I have a journal. I write in it all the time. You can write, I fucking hate being single. Why am I single in it 100 times? I mean, just change something, do something different. As people say, you are not a tree, you can leave.
Oh, I
So
like it. Nice.
make a change,
Perfect. I agree. Just change up your life a little bit. Take a trip.
But I totally sympathize with that. And the dating apps, we're Tom and I are clearly on them, but it's only because it's something to do. I know that we have both been on dating apps for multiple years on and off of them. Um, I don't think they're ever going to be the best way to meet a quality person and have a normal relationship. I wish that dating apps would just disintegrate, um, and people would just start going out again. I heard somebody talking on the radio this morning about how it was another podcast. They were talking about how they wish that dating apps were around when they were in college. And then he thought about it and he said, no, I don't. He said, because if dating apps were around in college, I would have spent all my time swiping instead of going out to the gym and to parties. And my son is a senior in college and he looks for dates on the dating app also instead of in real life. So people are missing out on real life experiences. So my
Yeah.
advice is
I,
find some.
Yeah, I've set a objective for myself that, and I got into the dating app because I'm not in Utah yet.
Right.
So I just thought, hey, let me do a look ahead here. That was a bad idea. But yeah, when I do get to Utah, I think I need to find something like Goat and just
Right.
be
Or
more
Meetup.
social.
I've
Yeah.
talked about Meetup in the past. Meetup is a great avenue, especially for age appropriate. Like Goat is all ages, but Meetup has very specific events on their website, and they have a site in every city just about. And there's like cards and bingo and parties and clubs, and so join a Meetup group and see what you can find in your age group. They even have like speed dating going on. Um, I think there's a million ways to meet people, and I think that we have forgotten that there are things other than our phone. So look up and around, have
Yeah,
your friends set you up or make some friends. You just never know where you're going to meet somebody. But yeah,
absolutely. I
dating
think,
apps is literally the last ditch effort for when you're bored. I only swipe on my dating app when I'm on the toilet.
see, I think, by the way,
I've
I
told you
think that
that.
that's probably 90% of us. And so if people actually thought about that, it's like, so I met you while I was taking a dump.
Well,
Um,
I don't tell them. I don't, I
well, I
mean,
know, but it if we all knew
but
that,
yes,
it would
yes,
change
but
the,
it's true. I mean, like, it's shit on shit. I mean, like,
yeah.
I just feel like, if I'm going to be in there for 5 minutes, I can swipe. And I don't know, if your stomach doesn't bother you before you go in there, it will bother you while you're in there if you're swiping.
Yeah, that's the perfect place to do it because that's going
Yeah.
to bring out all the
And
excretion.
it's not so obsessive if you just, even if you just limit swiping to like 10 minutes between 3 and 4 in the afternoon. Just don't get stuck on a dating app, like thinking this is the best that life has to offer me, because it's not. I meet far better people when I'm at those social events than I do on the dating apps. I just figure I'm going to do everything right now. So,
Yeah, excellent. Well, okay then.
all right. Well, thank you for your emails. I feel like she's going to probably regret even talking to us, and I apologize for that. Hopefully, me commiserating with you made you feel a little bit better. If not, I'm sorry. But please send us your emails. We will do our best to give you our advice. We will do our best to tell you how we feel about that scenario, and you can do what you want with what we say. The email, if you don't have it already, if you haven't listened to our 20 episodes, talkingphase@gmail.com is where you reach us. I will read every single email and I will reply to all of your emails. So whether we read it on the show or not, I will reply to you so you'll know that we got it and read it. And if you have a question for me or Tom, if you just want to make a comment about dating apps or our attitudes or how we feel about dating younger and older people, you can also send that to talkingphase@gmail.com. And that's it.
Awesome.
See
Thanks
you in
everybody
the
for
comments.
listening. Yes, be sure to rate and review. Let us know what you think the acceptable age gap is. What do you think about what's she name her call herself? Sick of being single. What do you think sick of being single should be? Let's get some advice coming. Let's do some crowdsourcing on some advice for sick of
On
being single.
Spotify too. On Spotify and YouTube, you can leave your comment right there, and then she can actually read your comment.
Yep. And then be sure to share this show with everybody that you come in contact with so we can keep growing our Talking Phase family. We do this every single Friday, sometimes on time. We're doing our best on that. Be sure to follow us everywhere. It's not just here, wherever you're listening to us, but we also do Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. And with that, that's the end of the show. So until next Friday, this is Pam and Tom signing off.
Have a great day, everybody, and a great week. It's almost Christmas. Thanksgiving.